The transfer window has slammed shut and Town, helpfully, can now just focus on the League Two. So bring on the final third of the season. This is the Blue Monday podcast. Hello, and thank you for joining us here at the Blue Monday podcast, discussing the Town up or down since 2015. I'm Richard Woodward, and this is the Prematch Show. Usually available live on a Thursday night, but this time around it's a pre-record. Joining me to cast his expert eye over, well, he's the northern correspondent, so over northern side Preston North End, Seb Brown. How you doing, mate? We should come clean, so we're not live, but we're pre-recording. We are pre-recording with the transfer window not actually slammed shut, but some good business has just happened. Probably worth disclaimer. Go and check out the show with Craig and Joe if you want more detailed discussion of the transfer business. But we're a little bit happy because we've actually got a deal done right at the last minute. Well, not the last minute, the 11th hour. No, not even that. Go on, talk.
Brilliant. What an intro that was. Thanks for that. Yeah, no, we are recording at 10 to 8 on the Thursday night transfer window with another 3.5 hours to go before you will consign it to bed for another, 6 months or so till June. To be fair, yeah, in the past I've given you abuse for this, but I'm coming around to your way of thinking this time. I think because we haven't really been that involved in it for so long. I know we did great work last January, but it was all done by the final week, wasn't it? We did it quite early then. I think it's a lot more stressful when your kind of season is riding on it. And at one point today, I did kind of sit back and think, I wish we were one of those TD understands there will be a quiet last day of the window at Portman Road. But yeah, it's nearly finished. We've just signed Kiefer Moore. He's just returned. So like we say, make sure you go and check out Joe and Craig's instant reaction to that, which went live last night. And yeah, we finally got the final piece of the jigsaw, and we will see what happens now as the league form ramps back up again. Yeah, we'll talk about how the jigsaw pieces will fit together for Preston later on as well. And yeah, I'm not going to pretend that I enjoy any part of the transfer window. I would happily make deals throughout the season until some like March time or end of February. I just find the whole thing stupidly tedious. Case in point, everyone's bricking it at about 4:00 on Thursday afternoon when a journalist goes, Cardiff have matched Ipswich's offer for more, and everyone's bricking it. It's like, it turned out that was absolute nonsense or way off the mark, but everyone's starting to brick it. I just hate all the hearsay nonsense. So let's just talk about football. Let's start with ITFC women before we get into the men. Portsmouth again, this double header with Portsmouth. A really quick opportunity to bounce back from a really harsh defeat in the League Cup. Town, much the better team second half, particularly hit the post, hit the bar. Should have probably won it in normal time, and then Portsmouth hit a worldie in extra time, pretty early in extra time. One of those really frustrating ones where you kind of hope if they were going to do that, they did it in normal time, so we could have gone home a little bit earlier. But hey ho, we played through the half an hour, and sadly, Town didn't get the goal to come back and take its penalties or maybe even win it. So yeah, looking for revenge, and Pompey obviously top of the league on a stonking run, frankly. But if Town have any hope of sneaking into the promotion race at the last, then they need to win on Sunday. Sorry. So yeah, big game. Head down to the AGL, as we've spoken to Joe and Natasha Thomas as well. Joe Sheehan, Natasha Thomas. Fans make a huge difference. So please, if you've not got to a game yet, do check it out. 2 p.m. in the AGL Arena with Felixstowe, and I will be in attendance with me drum. And hopefully at that point, Lucy O'Brien will be announced as January's Player of the Month. She was one of the 4 nominees there as well, so we're very proud of her for that. But yeah, big game Sunday, Seb. Let's talk about a big game on. Go on, do you want to say something about... Just quickly, I know also they lost last weekend in the League Cup against them. Do you think in some ways that's never a good thing to lose a football match? Do you think they'll have learned lessons, though, and be more... I know you said they lost to a worldie, but do you think there were things they could learn from that game to take into this one? It could have been a useful exercise rather than play them, having not faced them for a period of time.
I think it's a massive confidence booster, because the first goal that we conceded was from it was kind of like Hladky moment out of the back kind of thing, and the ball's intercepted by the striker and it's tapped in. So both goals were kind of mitigating circumstances. There's not much you can do about a 30-yarder apart from to press the player a little bit better. But the first goal we conceded, was us being pressed quite high and we didn't make the right choices. So I think we'll be ready for that high press. And therefore, if you don't concede those kind of goals and you know that you can score, admittedly, it was a penalty for us. I think stranger things have happened. We must have had it in watching the men's team where you kind of play a team in quick succession and you kind of assume, oh, well, the pattern's going to be exactly the same. And then the result is different. So I'm hopeful they can get a win. And it'd be great to keep the league action going because, you know, it's been a really positive season. Then a few little blips and pieces like that, and suddenly it's looking a bit daunting. But you beat Portsmouth, and suddenly you drag them back into the mix potentially. So
we've got games in hand, haven't we? Over most of the side.
Not games in hand, but we're still kind of a few defeats have meant that we're a bit adrift. So we need to beat the teams around us. I think we play Portsmouth away again. I might be wrong on that one, but we definitely play hashtag. We definitely play MK and rugby twice. So there's games against teams up the top there that can bring us back in contention. So keeping everything crossed and keeping everything crossed for Saturday as well, Seb, because it's a difficult one to call this one. I mean, on paper, Preston started like a house on fire and it's not going well since we played them, really, is it?
It's not, no. We sat here back in October. It was the Blue Monday live event day, wasn't it? We had the live show after the 4-2 victory at Portman Road, didn't we? Was that game?
Yeah, I think it was.
It was
like a lifetime ago, that. Yeah.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, and that was a top of the table clash. You know, Preston they'd started the season really strongly. I think they had 20 points from the first 10 games of the season. And I do remember you and me sitting on this show and we were discussing their numbers and we were saying, are these numbers sustainable or are this lot Ipswich Town 2017, 2018 for the first few games where you have one shot a game and it ends up going in? And I think we've kind of been proven right with the subsequent form. We'll discuss what's gone on there, but it's no longer a top of the table clash. You know, they've been awful run of form, very, very patchy, and they now find themselves solidly in mid-table. The fans aren't overly happy. There seems to be every now and again, every couple of months, there'll be a bit of to and fro from the manager to the fans, and it just really reminds me of us in kind of the last days of Mick, you know, where you start well and then there's a little bit of sniping on both sides, and it doesn't take much to turn the crowd up there, I don't think, given how things are going at the moment. And I think we can go into Saturday pretty confident on this one personally. Don't clip that up before we end up.
Well, we'll do predictions. You know, the normal routine here, folks. Even though we're not live, we'll do the predictions, and you know, there is a positive sense there, and for good reason. Now we'll talk about the state of play and the form in a second. I guess from the outside, and if Preston fans are watching this, very much welcome, and apologies in advance if we go wrong. But what is the reasonable expectations of Preston? I always think, you know, it's a team that is working against, you know, parachute teams, is always quite frugal but quite sensible in terms of its budgeting. And, you know, they'd been up there at the top of the table and weren't able to sustain it, which isn't a surprise. But no recruitment as of yet, unless something as dramatic is about to happen whilst we're recording. I guess what do their fans expect apart from maybe mid-table, Seb? Is it harsh to be asking that question? I mean, we all aspire for top 6, don't we? But not all of us can have it.
I don't think so personally. I think they're kind of us from 2016 onwards. You know, they're always going to finish somewhere between 12th and 16th, probably, unless they have a bad year. That's probably where they'll end up this year. And I think that's kind of. And I was doing some kind of looking at detail earlier, and it's taken from the internet. Some of these figures will not be accurate, but you can kind of get an idea of clubs' rough wage bills, can't you? And I know they won't be 100% accurate, but they'll be there or thereabouts. And apparently their wage bill is 17th in the league. So, you know, the adage is you finish where your wage bill kind of states you are. So every time they finish above them, they're slightly overpunching, and every time they finish below them, they're underachieving. So given where they are, I guess the trouble is that good start might have kind of, you know, it raised fans' expectations. And as the form has gone on, we'll discuss the form in a second, it's not been good at all. And then you factor in the fact that there's no January business and you kind of have this sniping with the manager. I don't think it's not a happy home life, shall we say.
I was queuing you up for that. And we'll talk about the manager as well, because, you know, a bright prospect manager when at Plymouth. But yeah, maybe, as I said, people are getting bored a little bit as well. And the style of play also important in that conversation too. Let's come back to that later. Talk to me about where they find themselves in the league table and particularly the form, Seb.
So they're currently 12th in the table with 39 points. So worth pointing out, like we just said, they had 20 points when they came to Portman Road back in October, and they're now on 39 points. So yeah, 20 points from the first 10 games and 19 from the subsequent, maths is rubbish, X number of games since that point. They've only won 11 of the games so far this season, which is a 38% win ratio, drawn 6 and lost 12. They have a goal difference of -12. And this is where the form really starts to look poor. They are 20th for their form in the last 5 matches. They've had 3 defeats, which was Leeds, Sunderland and Sheffield Wednesday, albeit they were a bit unlucky against Leeds. It was a 94th minute penalty, wasn't it, from Joel Pirro for a handball, annoyingly, from our point of view. They had 1 win against Bristol City. Will Keane, I think, got a couple of goals, and then they had a draw last time out away at Millwall. Then you look at the kind of the longer run of fixtures, and for the last 10 games, their form is 17th in the division with only 11 points from those 10 games. So it's a side that hasn't got going at all, and they've not been able to arrest this slump. I remember it was the last game before an international break when they came to Portman Road, wasn't it? And we kind of thought they're on an awful run of form. I think they'd lost 2 or 3 on the bounce at that point, and we were thinking they might kind of try and shut up shop to try and get to the break and then regroup and then look to, come back after the international shutdown more refreshed, looking to give it a go again. But they haven't been able to address this slide at all, and that's why they've dropped out from, I think they were 3rd or 4th maybe when they came to Portman Road, and now they're down in 12th, and they show no signs of being able to arrest this slump, because they'll win 1 and then they'll go winless for 4 or 5 games. It's just the way the form's been since October, really.
And if you're going to challenge for the top 6, you need to rely on your home form being strong, and it's pretty average, isn't it, in terms of the home form? Not bad, but not perfect.
It's not where you need it to be, though, is it? Like you say, you need your home form to be really strong, especially if you've got designs on gate crashing kind of 6th. It's the 10th best in the division, 23 points from the 14 games played at Deepdale, -4 goal difference. Their last 5 at home is 2 wins. We just mentioned Bristol City. And of course, they did us a favour on Boxing Day by beating Leeds when the goalie, Masellia, got sent off, didn't he? I'm sure he did something and he got himself sent off, and they managed to beat Leeds. That was great for us. But since then, 3 defeats: Sheffield Wednesday, Watford and QPR. So the home form isn't amazing. I think, like I said earlier, I'd never be cocky going into a game, but given the way things are up there, and also we've already won at Deepdale this season, kind of, technically, I think we can go there.
I heard you talk about this before, and were you on with Ben or something the other week? You said we smashed them. I remember us holding on for dear life for a 2-1.
No, we smashed them to pieces for 85 minutes.
Yeah, we did. They hit the post or something. They
got an equaliser, and then I think Clacky, or it would have been Walton or Clacky, I can't remember. The goalie made a really good save. Then they hit the woodwork, and it was a 2-1 battering where 2-1 absolutely flatters the home side. We tore them to pieces. I
watched it on iFollow. I remember it being tight towards the end. I
thought
we were great first half.
You need to be there, true fans.
See it with your eyes, Rich. I did. With my YouTube account, had a look at the goals against Millwall, and not great in terms of defensive for that Millwall goal, but obviously came back into it. Talk to us about the draw last time out.
Well, like me, do you think they're susceptible to high balls into the boxes? Because every highlight seemed to be a cross from Millwall or a set piece from Millwall, and Preston just didn't seem to be able to deal with it. We'll discuss their back line and how I think they're pretty big, the 3 centre-halves that will likely play on Saturday, but I thought they were a real mess to high balls into the box. We finished 1-1 away to Millwall, which I guess isn't a bad result for them. 43% possession, 11 shots, 4 on target, only created 2 big chances, but the overriding thing I took away from the, albeit very brief, 3 to 4 minute highlights I saw, was that I thought they were really poor with dealing with high balls into the box, which, having just signed, what is he? Is Kiefer Moore 6'7", 6'5"? Is that all he is? 6'5"? Okay.
Is that all?
Well, I'm 6'4", so he's just like me.
Just
really.
Like you.
Just like me. I kind of feel
Giacomo,
with all right. Wow, it's a bit harsh. Giacomo's for. Start with him.
It's tall. It's tall as well.
Giacomo definitely isn't. Giacomo's definitely for fat people. It's definitely
I don't think so. I think they've rebranded, haven't they? I think it's tall.
Have they?
Yeah.
They've either or.
It's not a bit of both. It's either or.
Right. Okay. Thanks, mate. I think they're definitely susceptible to high balls into the box, which, having Leif Davis on one side, Wes Burns on the other, and Kiefer Moore in attack, that could prove quite fruitful on the weekend.
Yeah, I thought, Fleming, it was who scored the goal for Millwall. We know he's great in the air anyway, but he wasn't particularly well looked after. I think the bigger issue for the goal, though, Seb, was the fact that Preston had a 3v2 and Millwall still got the cross in. I forget who it was who pinged it in, but it was a cutback from a winger. I should know this. Let me just see if I can check it. I think it's Norton Cuffey down the right-hand side who basically held off 2 Preston defenders and then just lost it back to his colleague who whipped it in for Fleming. And it was more the fact that they didn't stop the cross or didn't seem to stop Norton Coffey from holding the ball up and waiting for them to get in position. It was probably more of a concern for me, I think. But yeah, I totally agree with you that it feels like that might be a valid route to go for us. Remind us briefly about last season. We've obviously talked about Preston a couple, already this season, but yeah, mid-table last season, wasn't it? And probably
they finished. Yeah, they finished where they are at the moment. They finished 12th with 63 points, missed out on the playoffs by 6 points. I remember doing the research for the October show, and we were quite shocked by their lack of goals last season, weren't we? They scored less goals than 2 of the sides that got relegated last year in Reading and Blackpool. Okay, I think Reading had a points deduction, but even so, and they ended the season really poorly. It was 4 defeats and a draw in the last 5 games. So I remember thinking the goal scoring was an issue. And as we discussed in September I know a lot of people aren't fond of XG and XGA, but it does kind of give you an idea of the chance creation and the quality of chances that sides will kind of create on a match basis. And we remember saying that their goal scoring concerns were a real worry in October. They weren't sustainable back then, and last season kind of proves that, and the body of work since the October game at Portman Road proves it even more.
Let's talk about Ryan Lowe then. We mentioned him already. I guess I don't really know what his philosophy is, and I think we'll talk about the tactics that he's deploying at the moment, but spoiler alert, there's a bit of mix and match, isn't there, in terms of the strategies? Is that maybe a factor here in that Preston fans don't really know what he stands for at Plymouth? I think it was definitely attacking, wasn't it? And I think obviously it's been built on since, but yeah, I don't really know what he stands for, and yeah, fairly average results, isn't it?
It is, yeah. He joined from Plymouth in December 2021, so about a few weeks before McKenna takes over at Portman Road, that kind of time. He's only won 40 of the 107 games in charge, which is a 37% win ratio. That's 1.37 points per game, which keeps you up over the course of a season, but isn't exactly very exciting, is it? We know him from his time at Plymouth and his time at Bury. He moved from Bury when they unfortunately went under. Took Stephen Schumacher with him, obviously, to Plymouth, and then gets the Preston job, and Schumacher replaces him at Plymouth. And they've had this underlying tension now for, I think it's coming up 18 months. That's why I mentioned earlier, it does kind of remind me of those throwbacks to Mick, where every now and again, regardless of how results were going or how performances were, there'd be a little snipe on either side, and it would cause a load of, fallout on social media and stuff. And he claims he was the victim of disgusting abuse back in February 2023 after a defeat to Bristol City. Triple substitutions have been booed with chants of "you don't know what you're doing." He kind of did this rallying call to fans in December. So we mentioned the 10-game recent run, only 11 points from the last 10 games. In December, he kind of did this rallying call to the fans, and it was all like, we have to be together, etc. And then more recent than that, he's come out with this weird line, which did remind me, do you remember when Mick said, "I won't take advice off football fans in a pub," or whatever it was, when people, I think, were questioning Scouse or Douglas? Brian Lowe came out and said this recently. He said, "If you're sitting here telling me there's an ex-pro who's had all the badges and managed 300 to 400 league games who wants to ask about the identity, no problem. What I can't have is someone who probably doesn't know an identity and just wants kick rush football or no risk football. So I'm not having a go. Whoever has asked, I'm just saying if they want to come with the credentials and bring it to the party, we will look at it." And I think if you're making statements like that, then I'm not entirely sure he's long for this world in terms of the Preston position. I wouldn't be surprised if they continue this kind of form for the rest of the season, muddle through, finish somewhere, like we said, between 12th and 16th, and a parting of the ways is announced in the summer, because it's almost at the point now, like with Mick, where you just can't go back, can you? Things have been said on both sides, and it seems to me that it gets past the point of no return, and all parties are best off mutual consenting, and they look to go in a different direction, which I think is probably what will happen in the summer, bar a absolute transformation for the last third of the season.
Yeah, I think you're right there. And reading that statement, like those quotes, it's like when you're given, management training, and this is how you give feedback to your staff. What you don't say is good things, but because people just focus on the bit that comes afterwards, don't they? The kind of shit.
Well, every manager in the world knows the term "shit sandwich," don't they? Yeah. So you think it'd be really, really basic, but for whatever reason, he's adopting a different approach. Did I just see an emoji come up with a tick?
Yeah, I forgot to announce it at the start, so I finally took the time to create the Seb sweepstake or Seb bingo. And right. I don't think you said. I think you said came out and. But didn't say they come out and said, but I put up a tick for come out and said. Also, do you want to do this now?
No, just keep doing it throughout the show. How many are there? There was half a dozen.
At the moment, but there is 6.
Okay, right, okay.
One of all 5 of them are sayings, and one of them is a instance, is a situation. So, and I do it out of love and affection to you. By the way,
do you though? Do you?
It's not. I just enjoy you, and your mannerisms. Talk to me about the history in the fixture and who's got the upper hand, if anyone has.
No one has the upper hand. It's very even. It's 14 Ipswich wins, 11 draws between the two, and 14 Preston wins. So somebody will, potentially not. It could be a draw, I guess, but yeah, hopefully we'll take the advantage come 5 p.m. on Saturday. Yeah, very evenly matched. Our last match, as we've said, was the 4-2 victory at Portman Road back in October. Chaplin Williams with his Tarico-esque goal, the best right back in the division, thinking Harry Clark isn't going to get any game time this season. Broadhead and Caden Jackson with the goals. The last game at Deepdale, apart from the 2-1 where we smashed them to pieces in July, whenever it was, you and me were there. Do you remember the 4-0 defeat on Good Friday? It was awful, wasn't it? A week after the relegation had been
food
confirmed.
Voucher and couldn't get any food with it.
Did we?
I think we got a food voucher. It's like, well done, you've travelled stupid amount of miles on a Good Friday, right? And I think they'd all sold out by the time we got to the ground. So we basically had I don't know, a bag of skips or something. I'm not sure. It wasn't that great
for that season. Yeah, sounds about right for that season. Our last victory there was February 2018. It was the infamous Mustafa Carriol. I was there. The Mustafa Carriol, Lionel Messi, 45 minutes. I'm not entirely sure we saw him play much after that. He got substituted at half time with the Trots, didn't he? And I'm not entirely sure we really ever saw him again. But certainly for that half, he was unplayable, a phrase that I know Ben loves. And I will give you the choice. Do you want a lineup quiz from the 4-0 defeat on Good Friday in 2019, or do you want the lineup quiz from the victory in February 2018? So the latter days of Mick's reign or the after relegation Lambert reign? What would you prefer? I'll give you the choice.
Let's do the one where I was there, and let's see how much I can remember of it, which is not going to be much. Okay. Yeah, the 4-0. So
normally we have a goal scorer, so normally you get 1 or 2, but you're completely going in blind here. So it's a 4-3-3 formation, according to where I got the information from, BBC Football. So see if that helps.
I'm trying to think who was in goal at that point. Was it Gherkin? No. Was Bart still around at that point?
Bart was the keeper.
Back in. So Lambert wasn't that stupid. Pennington was around, I think, at that point, was he?
Didn't play.
No. Callum Connolly, was he around, or was that the season before? I'm going to struggle here, I think.
Yeah, that was the
Chambers
before,
would have been there.
Chambo was there, yeah.
Knudsen,
two young academy prospects at fullback.
Oh, really?
Well, not young. They'd made a few appearances at this point, but
I'm going to really struggle with this one, actually. And the chat is going to be, people listening are going to be fuming and shouting at their cars. You need to give me more clues than that.
Alongside Chambers was a player who was mutually consented, I think, from Fleetwood. Never got
Josh
going
Earl?
here. Tried to fight a fan at full time in Charlton away. Yeah, there you go. So Chambers and Enciala were the 2 centre backs. As I say, left back and right back were 2 academy prospects. Probably made their debuts 2 or 3 seasons before, but never really amounted to much. One I think is playing non-league now. Run like a chicken.
Oh, Mars Kenlock.
He's the left back. Yeah, the right back.
T-Rex.
That was it. Yeah, the right back. Josh Emmanuel.
Oh, okay. Who's actually had a pretty decent career post Ipswich.
Did he move to the States? Did I?
I think he had a really serious injury, didn't he? I think.
Right. Okay.
Around Hull. Yeah.
I think he said Scouse. I think he said him earlier. So you've got one of the 3 midfielders. So 2 more central midfielders. One playing for our rivals.
I was judging there.
Judge was, yes, he was playing left wing, according to this, which sounds about right for Lambert, doesn't it?
Yeah, sorry, you were giving me a clue for the other central midfielders.
One is playing for one of our rivals in this 3-way shootout on loan from a Premier League side.
Oh, no.
Flynn Downs.
Okay.
The other one never really fulfilled his promise. He's currently at Lincoln. I think he's still there.
Oh, Teddy
Bishop, yeah. So you've got the central striker and you've got the right winger. You won't get the right winger, so I'll tell you, it was Idris El Mazouni randomly.
Of course,
I'm not entirely sure the BBC formation is entirely accurate. So that just leaves the central striker, who is still at the club and who might be the central striker on Saturday.
Caden Jackson.
It was Caden. I remember he hit the bar, didn't he, in that game, I think?
Did he?
The one chance we had, he absolutely smashed it and it hit the bar, and we kind of thought...
And you're telling me that team lost 4-0 to Preston, really?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's shocking, isn't it?
Shock, surprise. You get what you pay for. Let's talk about Preston's personnel then. And as we said, there was kind of one of these weird, like, every Italian team is doing Football Manager scouting and finding good players in the Championship. Preston were potentially subject to one of those interests, but hasn't really materialised, has it?
No, Captain Alan Brown. He's the club captain. He was linked to the move to Serie A. I can't pronounce the side.
Solitano, wasn't it?
That's the one. Yeah, easy for you to say. But as of 10 past,
I mean, he didn't even attempt it, so I think that.
As of 10 past 8 on Thursday night, he hasn't moved, and Ryan Lowe came out and said he doesn't expect any more movement before the window closes. He's out of contract. He's out of contract apparently in the summer. So I guess the feeling was if it was a decent offer, they may have accepted it. But as of the moment, no business in and no business out. Unfortunately for Mullet, Will Keane will not be joining.
No, he won't.
We've signed much better players.
There was a lot of chat about him being the first goal scorer, but I guess it doesn't matter because we like to come from behind, don't we? But that was with a view to maybe Will Keane being in there. But never mind Mullet. He's 31 now, so that ship has probably sailed.
Mullet's way older than 31.
Oh yeah, but Will Keane, yeah. It's the flat cap that kind of ages him a bit, isn't it? We mentioned the pick and mix tactics at the moment. I mean, probably fair to say, definitely become more direct in the last few months. But formation-wise, Seb, it's a bit of a tricky one to call. Try and give your
stinks to me of a manager trying to come across something, trying to find something that kind of works. They've used 9 different formations so far this season, which I think kind of sums up their patchy form and their real inconsistency. It's been a 3-5-2 for the last 2 games. So if we assume that's kind of what they're going to go with, one of those was Leeds. So I guess they have used it against sides, higher in the division. It's been a back 3 with wing backs and 2 up front. They've gone more direct, so they're the 5th most direct side in the league. Only Rotherham, Sheffield Wednesday, Birmingham and Huddersfield get the ball forward quicker. They average 71 long balls per game at home, which is the 2nd highest in the division. And a lot of these stats we're about to discuss now, I don't know what you think about this, a lot of these stats are almost relegation kind of place stats in terms of where they sit in the league, and some of them are real key metrics. So possession is the 4th lowest in the division with 45%. Passing accuracy is the 3rd lowest, 73%. 10 shots taken is the 2nd fewest in the league. A lot of these are, if I was a Preston fan, I think I'd have alarm bells here, because we live in an age now obviously of real data and real analytics, and it's very easy for fans now to get real insight to the way sides are playing. And if this was us and we had all these stats and we were sitting 12th, I would think to myself, well, hang on a minute, this isn't sustainable, because the numbers, the numbers will eventually start to even themselves out, and this will catch up with us. And yes, okay, some things we are decent at. They are top for aerial duels. They are top, not top. They're 4th. They're 4th for successful tackles per match, 3rd for interceptions, 5th for clearances. The kind of hard-working stuff they're pretty good at. But the key stuff, keeping the ball, passing it, shooting, creating chances, they are sort of bottom 4-5 sides in the league. So if I was a Preston fan, I'd really have alarm bells ringing at that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, totally right. Yeah, and the argument on the high work stuff, the interceptions, for example, is because they don't have the ball. You have to intercept it back because the other team is bossing possession, and you need to claim it back. So, but yeah. Shots in the opposition box being 3rd fewest, definitely alarm bells there. I mean, quality chances as well, Seb. You mentioned XG. XG's not great. Big chances not great either. And I guess when you're struggling as well, and teams are bossing it, maybe in possession-wise, you're likely to give away a few fouls as well. And they're not great for that either, are they?
No, the dirty Northern, yes. They've averaged
hey,
13.
You're one of them. You can't.
I thought I was Welsh. You always tell me I'm Welsh. So.
Hey, have you noticed that I'm wearing my red Blue Monday hoodie, by the way, in honour of the fact
that for Keith Moore or for me?
1/3 of our squad is now Welsh.
It's good, isn't it? Yeah, great. That we need another 10 who's Welsh. Then we've got an entire kind of front 4 attacking.
Maybe
Brennan Johnson. Brennan Johnson, then we can make the puzzle complete.
Bring Lee Evans back in. Yeah, sorry, keep going.
Yeah. Yes, no, XG wise, I mean, their XG at the moment is only 26. They've scored more than that, but the XG is, I think it's the 3rd lowest in the division, as is only 34 big chances created. So it's not a side that create quality chances. It's not a side, well, they are overperforming, they're overperforming their XG at the moment, and all this stuff, I think, is going to catch up with them at some point. The numbers, if they're that poor for that long, eventually you will get found out. And I think, I know we said the mutual consenting parting of the ways in the summer. I think if they don't do that and it kind of stays for another season, they could be in a bit of trouble next year unless they can make some real smart recruitment decisions in the summer.
Yeah, before we move away from the stats, you were going to call them a bunch of dirty northern bastards, weren't you?
I was, yeah. 77 yellows overall, 40 of which have come at Deepdale, which is the highest for any home team. And they average 13 fouls per match, which is the 3rd highest. So if you like your booker, you're betting on a Saturday, then maybe go for one for cards, because they are pretty dirty. Who'd have thought it for a northern team?
Hey, come on now. Don't be making stereotypes like that. Let's talk about the key players. I guess let's deal with him quickly so we can move on. Will Keane's top scorer, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got 9 goals and 2 assists, and he's still not good enough to play for us.
One player that I do like is Liam Miller, on
Good
loan
player,
from
isn't he?
Basel.
Yeah, on loan from Basel. He's kind of been playing down the left. So in this new formation, he's kind of almost been shunted back a little bit into a left wing back role, but he's their top creator with 5 assists and 3 goals. Mads Frogje Jensen plays as the number 10, or the slightly more advanced 8 in the central midfield. He's got 3 goals and 3 assists so far this season. Dwayne Holmes was signed from Huddersfield to bring a bit of creativity in the summer. 3 goals, 4 assists. He's been a bench option in recent weeks. Ben Whiteman has signed a new deal. They signed him from Doncaster. He signed a new long-term deal this week, or last week I think it was. He'll be the defensive screen. As I mentioned earlier, surprising given how kind of susceptible they looked to big crosses, to high balls into the box. They've got some big old boys in the centre half positions. They've got Andrew Hughes, who's 6'1", Jordan Storey 6'1", and Liam Lindsay 6'2". So it's a bit of land of the giants at the back. Will that affect the number 9 we play on the weekend? We'll discuss that in a moment. And Freddie Woodman, ex-Newcastle, is the goalkeeper. 65% save ratio, is the 4th lowest in the league. Only kept 4 clean sheets all season, and his goals prevented stat is minor, or nearly as good as -5. So yeah, not a solid base behind those 3 centre halves.
Well, Liam Miller, as much as I like him, he was the guy clattered by Brandon Williams, wasn't he, in that kind of memeable challenge in the second half against Preston, wasn't it, at Portman Road? Di Cordell still around. You can still find him. He
played against Leeds, didn't he? He was in goal, and the 1-2, the handball, the last minute handball. Di Cornell, I think, was the keeper. So yeah, what a weird career. Not good enough for us. Didn't he go to Peterborough as a backup? And then he started a few games of the Championship for Preston. So yeah, you can still find him. He was Welsh as well.
There you go.
We need to an all-time Welsh 11 for Ipswich Town. Oh, we'll do this at some point.
Yeah, it's going to be massive, I can imagine. Any more final thoughts on Preston before we start talking about us?
No.
I think we've done pretty well at half an hour in. So yeah, I think pay attention to the possession, pay attention to the hard-working interceptions, tackles and fouls. Be wary of former forwards, whether we like them or not. And watch out for, I think, Liam Miller out wide. That would be my pointers for folk. Let's do some bits and pieces of business before we talk about Ipswich. As always, we're brought to you in partnership with the Ground. Obviously, it's an away weekend, but nevertheless, if you're based in Ipswich and need somewhere to go for a nice bit of food or a pint during the week, then head to the Greyhound, and then obviously ahead of West Brom, head back to the Greyhound for pre-match. There'll be breakfast baps as there were for the game last Saturday, which I'm not going to talk about. But yeah,
you got off lightly. I had to go on a Maidstone podcast on Monday night.
I got to see it with my actual eyes. To your point about Preston, I had to watch it. I saw the iceberg at the 75th minute, like we all did. So I was very magnanimous. I saw 2 Maidstone fans as I left the ground, and I congratulated them. It's been a long time since I've done that. So hold your hands up. And we've retweeted Seb's appearance with Maidstone captain Gavin Hoyt on the Stones Age podcast with our mate Steve. I thought you were brilliant, by the way. I thought you played that spot on. You got to hold your hands up. You got to
I had to be magnanimous when they didn't tell me the captain was coming on till I joined the Zoom recording, and suddenly it was like, oh, we've got Gavin Hoyt, the captain who played against you on Saturday, joining the chat. I thought, right, brilliant, great. So I held my hands up, and they were a great bunch of lads, and a weird game which we never have to talk about ever again now. We don't. Merch store, if you want a Welsh red Blue Monday hoodie, head to the merch store. Telegram, now the transfer chat is done. It's going to be a much more calm and rational place. The links for all of that, including our shows, with the Flagship coming up on Sunday as usual at 8 p.m. with Mikey, Craig and Seb. We've also got some stuff. We're going to have a chat with Gab Sutton next week. We're going to review our early season predictions and give them a bit of a refresh and get Gab's view on all things Championship as well. So that will be out Wednesday. Blue Monday, ITFC.co.uk. Everything you need that I've just talked about is listed there. And similarly, we've got a not listed. One thing that isn't listed is our promotion with NordVPN. There's a link in the description if you're listening on podcast and watching on YouTube. There's a Blue Monday subscriber discount if you go to nordvpn.com/Blue Monday. And doing so, we get a nice referral bonus as well. So support us. If you need to make a virtual trip
abroad for whatever reason, or you just want to be more secure when you're browsing the interweb, then head to Nord and give us some support as well. There's a 30-day money back guarantee if you change your mind as well. So all good there. And as I said, join us on Sunday for the flagship show. Our mates at Chorley FC also wanted us, if you're listening this on the way up and you still haven't found your pre-match destination, Chorley FC have got loads of stuff going on. The postcode for your sat nav, and do you want me to do the bill, or the kind of the alphabet, Seb, the proper alphabet, if people are listening?
Yeah, go on.
So it's Papa Romeo 7 3 Delta. I think it's uniform for you, isn't it? Uniform?
I thought it was unicorn.
Not
Your
unicorn.
sounds
It's
more.
not unicorn.
Yeah, yours sounds more. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a Princess roundabout 7 PR7 3DU. It's just off the M6, so you need to kind of come off at junction 27 and then hoot it up the A49 into Chorley. And they've got 11 a.m. I think they open up. They've got a social club there, the Paul Mariner Lounge. There's a Paul Mariner shirt up on the wall, food available, live Premier League football. And yeah, I think the official supporters coaches may be going there, or some supporters and coaches going there. And there's also a raffle on the day. The Chorley FC striker's wife has got a cancer diagnosis, and so they're doing everything they can to raise money to support her and the family. So every penny raised goes to that cause. So fantastic to get involved in that too. But yeah, if you're looking for somewhere to head to, Chorley FC on Saturday. Let's talk about Ipswich, Seb. And probably the big debate is probably around the players that have come in January, really, isn't it? And I'm thinking the two strikers, and for me, the man of the match, although it's a bit of a oxymoron when you're talking about a defeat to a non-league team. But I thought Jeremy Sarmiento was the pick for us last Saturday. Would you start any of them?
Yeah, I'd start Sarmiento for sure. I think he looked bright when he came on against Leicester. Did McKenna not hint that he would have started the Leicester game, but it suggests he had a knock, I think, quite close to the game in training. So presumably that's why he didn't start that one. So yeah, I'd have Sarmiento in from the start. I think he's looked really good, really positive. The way, you got your hand up, go on.
Ahead of who, sorry?
Broadhead.
Yeah. Sadly,
I'd have Sarmiento on the left, Chaplin in the middle, and Burns on the right. I love the way Sarmiento can carry the ball up the pitch. He's a bag of tricks. He's strong, isn't he? He's hard to knock off the ball. He's got that moment of magic he can produce. Yeah, loves to get a shot off. So for me, that's a bit of a no-brainer. Broadhead just hasn't been able to get this kind of slump of form out the way. And we all know he'll come good again. You know, what's the saying? Form is temporary, class is permanent. We know how good he is. He just needs I really thought the Norwich goal would really set him up on a bit of a run, but he kind of matched the deflation of the result, didn't he? That's the problem. If that's the winning
game too, didn't he? He kind of needed a couple of bites of the cherry to get the goal in the first place. So it's kind of like, I've got the goal, but I'm probably in my mind thinking about the one-on-one that I should have scored and all that kind of stuff. There's always
but also he's been, Stoke for the last half an hour. He's thrown into the number 9 role, Wimbledon number 9 role, Maidstone number 9 role. It's not really his game, is it? I know he's done a job there for us, but he's just not physical enough for me or athletic enough to play that position. So that's kind of gone against him as well recently. So I have no doubts he will come good again at some point in the second half of the season. But for now, I'll be playing Sarmiento in his position. And then I guess the big talking point is the number 9. Jackson's done really well. He didn't feature against Maidstone at all. Led the line really well against Sunderland. Got his goal. Pressed well, I thought, against Leicester. But we now have these 2 new signings. What's the Iraqi guy's name? Because you struggled a bit, didn't you, on the Wednesday show?
I did fluff it at the start. I hadn't read it enough, but it's Ali Al.
Have you got a little emoji for that? Tick.
Not for me, but I can, if you want, I can tick it for myself. There you go. Apologies. And do watch our transfer reaction video from Monday with Dave and Joe's response to that one, as well as obviously the one that's happening Thursday night, which is focusing on Kiefer Moore. But yeah, Al Hamadi, I got that. Yeah, I didn't get that.
I call it Al Hamadi. You can say Hamadi. I'll call Hamadi.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he'll confirm at that point.
Let's call the whole
do we know if he's back in the country yet? He's not.
I was about to ask you the same question. They went out, didn't they? Was it Jordan they lost to in
they were like
Tuesday, Monday?
The day that he signed, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so potentially I can't see why. They normally keep them around for a day afterwards for a debrief.
Elkin's back,
tend to
so he
head off. So yeah, in theory, I can't see why. So I assume he'll be on the bench. I would start Kiefer Moore. Would you not start him? He played in the FA Cup for Bournemouth recently, so he's relatively match fit. I know he's not played in our position, but then saying that, McKenna doesn't tend to throw people in, does he? But is it a case of needs must, you think? When Hurst joined last year and Luongo joined and Broadhead joined, there was very much a bedding in period, wasn't there? But I guess we had Ladapo scoring goals, and it wasn't as crucial as it is maybe now. I would personally start him, but equally, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Jackson. What would you do?
I would start Jackson because you kind of raised the point about the land of the giants at the back. Generally, tall defenders are not quick defenders, and I wonder whether there might be an option to get him behind them there, and his pace might help with that.
And I guess you've got Miller playing slightly out of position on the left. Potentially, that's a bit of space that Jackson could exploit as well. Maybe
so. So that's the only thing in my thinking. But given we talked about the threat that Millwall had from crosses, and we know that we're a threat from set pieces, it wouldn't be a surprise if more starts, would it? But I think it's a toss of a coin. I think it's it maybe comes down to how McKenna feels on the day, perhaps. But I don't think there's anything wrong with Jackson. And then you got starters and finishers now, haven't you, in the striking positions, which we haven't had for about a month or two. So
it's suddenly, having done this deal tonight, the Kiefer Moore deal, suddenly the squad feels in such a better place again, doesn't it? You've got real options off the bench rather than looking and thinking, right, well, Jackson's now knackered at 60 minutes. We're going to have to either give Boabo 15 minutes at the end, or we're going to have to push Broadhead into a position that he's perhaps not overly familiar and overly comfortable with. So it's great to see now we will have some real options on the bench. And like you say, the starters and finishers that became so crucial to us last season and the first half of this season are now back in the building.
Yep, and that is a perfect opportunity for me to go to predictions, but I have to tick in the building off my...
how many is that? Is that 3 or 4?
It's only 2 of them, because one of them's for me, isn't it? For fluffing my intro. But yeah, let's do some predictions. I feel like I'm making you self-aware with my little sweepy thing, which was meant to be a bit of fun. So I won't.
I'm more self-aware with the Giacomo comment. I'm not going to lie. I mean, out of the 2 things you've said tonight, it's definitely not. Johnny Vegas advertises it for God's sake.
If you're shopping at Giacomo, so am I. I'm not. I'm in the same boat. It's a great job that people can see me from the shoulders up. So, I'm not. I thought Giacomo was big and tall, as in big and or all tall, but anyway, you distracted me, and you're a perfect specimen of man. I don't know what you're worrying about. Let's talk about predictions.
It's getting weird now.
It is getting weird. Thank goodness this isn't live, eh? Chris Rand beat us in the predictions. Telegram, doing really well actually, storming into second place in the league table. Seb, you better watch yourself. Chris and I was audited because I got a score wrong, and that won Chris the week. So congrats for him. And I have done a bit of a retrospective audit on previous weeks.
You wouldn't admit it even if you had, because no one else will care enough to have a look. And there's no way you would admit it if it was defining and changed positions. There's no way you'd cop to it. Of
course I would. If anyone wants to audit my spreadsheet, then you're very welcome to do so. Let's talk about the games this week, Seb, because I am struggling to get excited about. There's very few games there that excite me apart from West Brom, Birmingham.
There's a couple of derbies, isn't there? I guess, or kind of derbies.
Anything you want to pick out there and discuss?
No, there's a big game at the bottom, isn't there? Huddersfield against Sheffield Wednesday. Huddersfield having sacked Darren Moore a couple of days ago. You called that back on the show. He was just appointed, wasn't he? The show in September. I remember you saying that you wouldn't be surprised if he went at some point this season. So kudos. No, it didn't. Did it? You're right. Yeah, it didn't at all. And also, he wasn't overly kind of backed, I don't think, in the in the transfer window. So yeah, he's gone. So that's a big game. The Sheffield Wednesday, improving and picking up points. Other than that, like you say, it's not a real classic week, is it? I guess the sides that we're most interested in, annoyingly, Southampton are away to Rotherham. Rotherham isn't the easiest place to go to at home, but you've gone for the dropping points. That's interesting. You've gone for a
So I was chatting with Gab and Ollie on the EFL debate and remembered that. There's a few teams in the top 6 or top half that have struggled to get wins at Rotherham, and therefore I'm thinking, well, Rotherham just need to do what Rotherham do. But obviously, there's a changing of the guard there as well. Maybe it's wishful thinking. I'm trying to manifest it rather than believing it might happen. But stranger things have happened. But Southampton just feel stupidly relentless, don't they, at the moment? But
annoying. I liked your term on the flagship for them to go away, and how you said it more politely on.
You can say it now. You can say it now.
Piss off Southampton.
Yeah, piss off Southampton with your David Brooks signing. But you and Chris both going for the 2-0s there. Stoke, Leicester, it doesn't appear that we have any faith in Stoke to do anything.
Leeds, we both think Leeds are going to win away at Bristol City. In fact, all of us, me and Chris have gone for clean sheets. I've gone for 2-0. Chris has gone for 1-0. You've gone for a 2-1 Leeds.
I was really close for going for a 1-1 as well. I kind of felt like Liam Manning's Bristol City are a quite effective team. But it's just Leeds again, relentless too. And we're I've gone for a set of 2-1s in the West Brom, Birmingham, Middlesbrough games, but you're mixing yours up. You're splitting the difference there. You go West Brom. It's difficult to see even under Mogger. You're not Mogger back to his old club. You don't think they might sneak something there?
Potentially they could do. It's the Championship, isn't it? Any game can be bonkers, so to speak. I think Mowbray will get them improved. I think he's a real sensible appointment for them. Stansfield staying, so they've got a bit of kind of security and a bit of certainty in that position. I think they'll improve, but I think West, as we found out, going to the Hawthorns is unless you're Wolves in a Premier League side, going to the Hawthorns is a difficult place to play your football. So I figure West Brom pretty confident. I think I said 2-0 on that
decent,
one, didn't I?
Yeah, home form is decent, and it is a derby.
Yeah,
they all hate each other up in that part of the world, as we saw last weekend as well. So, you probably back West Brom there. Sunderland, not a happy home life, and you're predicting a draw in that one. But neither Borough can't really get themselves going either. So I'm not surprised you guys have gone for draws there. I just kind of went for home advantage. But neither team really pulling up too many trees in their battle to get into the top 6, are they?
That was my logic. I kind of figured the kind of, they're both on pretty poor run of forms. I know Sunderland won last time out, but they've got this underlying current with the manager, haven't they, where they're clearly not happy with the appointment, and that's going to start to filter its way through to the playing squad. I don't think they've signed a striker, have they, as of this time with at Portman Road? They're chanting, we want a striker, unless I'm missing something glaringly obvious. I don't think they've done that much business in the window so far, so their issues are still going to be there up front. That said, I've put them down to score a couple of goals, but I just think both sides, they're kind of really kind of inconsistent, those two, and therefore logically a draw is probably the easy answer.
Fair enough, yeah. And I think Amad Diallo is with Man United.
He hasn't gone, he hasn't gone, has he?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how Sunderland do, because obviously Beale has not gone down necessarily particularly well there either. So
moved on to Birmingham, hasn't he, after refusing to play last week, and it's all just up there, isn't it? It's clearly gone not how they wanted it to go, which hopefully means they'll do. There's a third season of Sunderland Till I Die coming soon, which is a happy one. It's only a 3-parter focusing on the promotion from League One, so hopefully we might get a 4th season with the Michael Beale appointment, and we can watch it descend into anarchy again.
Nice. There you go. Hello, Sunderland fans. If you want to get your predictions in the chat, please do so. We will. We love comments in the chat. In the YouTube comments. And if you are listening on podcast, why not tweet us, or why not get involved in Telegram and let us know what you're thinking as well. We want to hear from you. And as we said, we'll be back to normal next week. I'm pretty confident we'll be back to normal next Thursday, 8 p.m. So you can.
It feels like we've been saying that now for like 6 weeks. It's weird, isn't it? Since Christmas, the schedule goes to pot. Then you have these weird cup games and a real lack of league games in January. Then you've got the window closing. We just need normal kind of service to be resumed, don't we? Yeah,
well, with the window slamming shut, I mean, we've moved because of that. And frankly, I've only done that because I'm in the minority of people who find transfer deadline day something that is worthwhile talking about. But no, enjoy that show as well. It'll be great. Craig and Joe will do really good work there. And I'll probably watch it too. But yeah, once that's done, FA Cup's done, focus on the league, can't we? We'll be back next week to see how both of us and Chris in Telegram. Thank you, Chris.
We haven't discussed our result yet, have we?
We haven't, have we?
Just to stop you before you end the feature.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, host right. With the most. Go on, Seb. Well, you could talk through this because we've all predicted wins. I did spoil it at the start, but we've all got
you wins. And Chris have gone for 2-1 victories for Ipswich. So you think we'll concede a goal? I've gone for a clean sheet. I've gone for a 1-0 based on what I've said about their chance creation and their kind of lack of goal scoring and all that jazz. So are you thinking Will Keane scores against us? But Will Keane
first goal.
Well, as long as we don't boo him, we'll be all right. Do you remember that Portman Road game for Wigan?
Oh, Wigan. I was in the North End for it.
Booing him just before a corner, and he scored straight away from it.
I remember chastising people around me for doing it and knowing exactly what would happen. And it kind of it's horrible when these kind of things play out in front of you exactly as you called it. But that was totally predictable and just sums up the mindset of certain supporters, positiveness. We should be projecting positivity and not caring about who used to play for us in the opposition. But easier said than done, of course. But narrow wins across the board there. You think we'll keep a clean sheet, do you?
I do. I think the player of the month, George Edmondson, will keep Will Keane pretty quiet. And I think we'll see a debut goal from either Kiefer, Roberto, Francisco Moore, whatever he's called, or Ali Al-Hamadi. I think one of them might get the winning goal.
There you go. There's a prediction too. Like the working. Given that I've screwed up as host, do you want to do the outro bit for the predictions before we say goodbye?
We will come back next week and see how me, Rich, and Chris get on with this amazing feature which everyone enjoys.
You figure out who needs to say goodbye, the final words, because it's backed and forth a little bit. So I'll leave you to think about that. Brent mused. I will remind you that we are supported by the Greyhound. Thank you to the Greyhound. Lovely pub, fantastic pub, cracking little pub. Do head there before West Brom. Flagship Show back on Sunday, 8 p.m. live. Mikey, Craig and Seb.
We're all going, aren't we? We're all making the trip to the north, aren't we? It's a hat trick of eyes on the game, yeah.
Lovely stuff. Do head to Chorley FC and support all the fun and games that's going on there. You may or may not see members of the Blue Monday team. And as always, leave us a review, to give us a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube, and do subscribe. Lots of excellent content coming your way, if we do say so ourselves, between now and the end of the season, and a dramatic conclusion that we hope. Seb, thank you as always for all your hard work and research. Everyone listening or watching, thank you for joining us. And if you made it this far, we appreciate you. Seb, I'll let you tell me what I need to do next.
I think it's me. I think I did Sunderland and we won. And then I did 2 shows in a row with Ben, Leicester and Maidstone, and we wouldn't have done the sign out because Ben just ends it.
Well, look what happened when we didn't do the sign out before Maidstone. Or Ben did something different, didn't he? Deviated.
That's why we did do it for Leicester and we got a point at the side top of the table. So I'm not sure your logic is entirely flawless. So I'll carry on with it. So yeah, thank you everybody for listening and watching and giving us thumbs up, etc. Hopefully now the league season can really ramp back up again. Is it 6 games in February, 18 points to play for, starting at Deepdale at 3 p.m. on Saturday. So if you see us at Chorley FM,
coming in your ears
first, Chorley FC. If you see us at Chorley FC, come and say hello. If you see us in the stand, come and say hello. And hopefully it's the start of, what do we want from this season? At least 10, 12 points from the 18 games. I would suggest 2 points per game. Keep it going. That'll do for me. Come on, you Blues.